We invited Ashley DuFresne back to the Wellness Empowerment Project to get more in depth about ritual. What rituals can do for us as we are looking at changes in our life to improve our health, our wellness, whatever it may be. The conversation was so fantastic that we have divided it up into 2 episodes. This is the first episode of Creating Rituals to Change Your Frequency. Hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to the Wellness Empowerment Project. I'm Trish.
And I'm Julie. We are 2 nurses exploring holistic healing and wellness practices to empower you to be the leader of your own health. Join us as we try out new things, or as we call it, weird shit, and have some fun along the way.
Hello, and today we are welcoming back the wonderful Ashley DuFresne. If anyone has possibly forgotten, this is her second time joining us. And the first time we talked a lot about ceremony, its importance, how this hyper independence that we have in our culture has really diluted the use of ceremony in our lives. And we had such a great conversation. We brought her back today because we really wanted to dive more into rituals. Ashley, tell me, how did you become so excited, passionate in rituals and using them as part of your life?
Yeah, I was reflecting on this question as you asked it. I'm like, when did this start? When did my life start this way? And I'm looking back, and I think I always had a connection with the natural world, that I created these magical experiences with nature as a kid and had these rituals that I was naturally doing to create change. I think, yeah, being somebody, I've always been really goal driven and also had this spiritual side, that I knew that through doing something I could create change. The intention of rituals is to create a shift in our frequency. Like, we're landing in a specific frequency that we want to be embodying and creating in our life, whether that's tangibly being in a habit, or it's something that's embodied within us that we want to be, or it's a reality that we want to create in our lives. So thinking about it further, yes, okay, I dabbled in it when I was younger. What really got me into it was my last career in clinical mental health. I worked at like a wilderness therapy place. I don't even want to call it wilderness therapy. It was more horticultural therapy. We didn't bring people on these crazy adventures, but a really big part of this work was the rites of passage element, as all wilderness therapy holds in it. They took it to a whole new level because it was out in Hawaii. It really leaned into the mysticism and magic of nature, because we weren't just out in the desert like a lot of other wilderness therapy. We were in the jungle where there was so much abundance and life. And so it really leaned into this possibility of magic and creation for people. In working there, we learned a lot about, of course, I got trained as a rites of passage facilitator, which ceremony is rooted in, but the point of people being there is to help them create change. Of course, we taught them rituals. Of course, we taught them how to create change outside of this really powerful experience here in this inpatient facility. It wasn't just this, here's some magic. We worked with a range of doctors and psychotherapists and therapists. We had a whole team of naturopaths and medical doctors. It was so cool to have all these different experts on board to create an experience. And they all knew the power of ceremony and rites of passage and rituals. We learned a lot of the science behind why this stuff works, like the neuroscience behind why ceremony works, why rites of passage work, and why rituals are important. And although, yeah, I dabbled in it when I was younger, this is where I really got into it by teaching it and facilitating it. As a leader, that was something that I had created in my life too. It was through creating conscious change through rituals, even just working here, that it just became like a no-brainer. I'm like, okay, I want to change in my life. This is it. I'm going to create a ritual to create this, to do this, to ensure that I'm moving in that direction.
So what's the difference between a ritual and a habit?
I knew someone was going to ask me that. So a habit is something we do unconsciously. It's something that's an unintentional experience, where ritual is very much rooted in intention. It is with the intention that we are engaging with full presence and mindfulness that creates the power of that ritual. It allows the ritual to have its power on us. Habits have an impact, obviously. Like what we do, we're creating these changes, where rituals are more of this, it's like a super track. We are, with the intention and mindfulness, we're amplifying the effects of that thing that we're doing. We're just counting to, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a habit. Give me a habit that you have that you do, that you engage in, and I can maybe explain through example.
Every morning I get up at 4:30 and I work out.
I actually would say that's more of a ritual, because you're intentionally getting up and doing this thing that you know is going to make a change. A habit is more, I have a habit of when I leave my house, my screen door just slams shut. And I have a habit of running down the stairs, and then I hear it and I'm like, shoot, that's really rude to all my neighbors. Or I have a habit of rolling out of the right side of my bed every day. It's not something I'm consciously doing. I just roll out of this side. Or a habit of, so things that are more unconscious, where we are, when we put attention and we are present for that thing, that's no longer a habit. Because a habit is more in the basal ganglia, the automatic response of how we're engaging with the world and going through, where rituals are more of, or more of the intentional, you're deliberately choosing to be here and be present for this thing to create change.
I have a question. If you've done a ritual long enough, could it become a habit?
Rituals become habit when you stop being mindful and engaged with it. When it's just this, okay, I got to do it. Kundalini, I think, is a really good example. I've been there. Like
Yes.
I did one Kriya for over a year, and there were some days I was not really present for it. I was just like, it's just a thing on my checklist to get done. I don't even know if I'd call that a habit. It was just this like thing I was doing. I wasn't present for it. Hey, it's got to go through these motions. My brain's somewhere else. I'm in it. It might be in for a second. That's not going to have the same impact of I am deliberately in this. I am breathing in this. My mudra, I can feel the fingertips like that are touching. I can feel the energy moving in my body. The intention of this Kriya is in me, and I can feel that I am coming towards wellness or whatever the intention is. There's a different experience when we're fully present and engaging with that and like holding the intention of that ritual versus it's the thing I got to do. I'm on a streak and I don't want to break it, so I'll just do it. And we're going through the motions, but we're not actually, we're doing it, but are we really doing it?
No, and I think anyone who's done any of the Kundalini or those meditations for a long period of time, you're going to have a day where you're just doing it. And especially when you're on a really long streak, it's so ingrained in your body at this point. I'm to the point with one of my meditations where I get into bed, I just automatically start doing those motions because I've just done it for so long. But it does really bring back the point is to bring back the essence of the practice and why we are doing the practice and that intention behind it. So I feel like that's a really good warning and reminder.
Yes, absolutely. It's natural to have those times where we're like not fully engaged, and like the consistency. There's power in the consistency too. That's doing something for us as well. We are teaching ourselves self-trust. That even if we're not really able to be fully present, it doesn't matter. We're still showing up for ourselves. You know what I mean? There's other things happening that just by engaging, it's still beneficial, even if you're not like fully present and mindful in other ways, but it's not necessarily the intention of the ritual.
Yeah, that's why I brought up working out, because I've been getting up at this time before work for years. My body just sometimes I just wake up even before my alarm goes off and it's time to get up. I'm not a morning person. I just roll out of bed. I brush my teeth. I find myself in the basement with my clothes on. And what am I doing today? Click on the TV and there it goes. So there's not always that intention. There is an intention of I want to take care of myself and that I want to be healthy and I want to be strong. And so there's that, but many mornings at 4:30, I don't even want to speak. Let me sweat, let me lift heavy, and
Yeah, I hear that.
then I can talk. That's why I'm like, I don't know if it really is a ritual.
You can make it into a ritual by first thing in the morning. What is it that you want to feel? Do you want to say to yourself, this is going to be the best day ever? Or, oh, my body is so strong, and begin to like work your mind into a certain state of being. When you go in the workout room, yeah, do the set up whatever you set up, but maybe before it begins, like taking a breath and being like, I am present with my body. My body is strong. I'm so grateful that I'm here. Adding some of the intentional pieces of why are you doing this? Okay, you want to be healthy. Great. Oh my God, my body is so healthy. I'm so grateful for how healthy my body is that it's able to do this. Thank you, self. And noticing as you're working out, oh, this weight is easier than last time. The weight didn't get lighter, I got stronger. And just like being present with each of the reps. That's something I was listening to something on this recently. I'm really into fitness myself. And someone was saying to me, they're like, yeah, most injuries happen when people are not paying attention. They're going through the reps of their workout or their run, but they're not actually present. And they do damage to their body because they're not listening to their body and what their body is saying. Usually this happens for runners. They're going long distance, they don't go into flow state. They like literally tap out. They go into this dissociated state. They're like, it's flow state. No, there's a difference between flow state and dissociated state. Flow state, you're very present when you're so connected to every part of you. But when you're running and you're tapped out, you're not noticing that your knee is like just a slight little ping. You don't notice that your ankle is making a slight little, all these little things that will become bigger problems if you're not paying attention. Yeah, there's power and presence, and especially when we are using our body and doing things that aren't just easy.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I guess that leads me to my next question, which is what kinds of things would you want to have a ritual for? And what are some things that you wouldn't? So if that is something that, if your intention is that you want to be healthy and you want to embody a healthier lifestyle, what I'm hearing you say is that's something that I would want to develop a ritual for, but something else I may not.
Yeah, I think the way to look at when to use a ritual is what's important to you. What is something that you desire to move towards, or ultimately just looking at your values. We look at our values and we look at how well we are living in alignment with those values. We can quickly see it's some opportunities to add some rituals to bring us closer to the areas that maybe we haven't had the time for, or haven't been prioritizing in the ways we've liked. Right. So like family. I used to have this ritual of every Sunday calling different family members, and I've got out of that, just getting into life. And if family is a value to me, that's going to be something I want to implement. I'm not just mindlessly calling people. I want to consciously be connecting with these people who I value. So to maybe get out of my home and go sit by the river and call somebody, that's going to be a very different experience than being on the phone with somebody while I'm meal prepping, or just this mundane conversation while I'm doing laundry. No, I want to consciously be present with this person. So there's a value of mine. I'm going to create a ritual around that to ensure that I'm stepping out from the mundane of everyday living. I'm intentionally present for this activity to move towards fulfilling or feeling more fulfilled in my values and what's important to me in my life. That makes sense. You asked the question of what are some things you wouldn't want rituals for? I can't think of anything right now. And like maybe there's something and I'm not thinking of it. Trish, do you have anything in mind for that? Out of curiosity?
It's really hard to say because I feel like if you want to implement a change in your life, you really need to connect with your why. You really need to connect with your intention or your purpose, because otherwise, that's when any change falls flat. Because then I'm just wanting to change my food for diet, for example. You're just looking at the behavior. And I think when you just look at the behavior and you're trying to change the behavior, that's why so many people fail, for lack of a better word, or not successful when they try to make any sort of change in their life. So I think if we want to implement a change, viewing it from the lens of a ritual and getting into that depth of why is the way to start that. Now, granted, I could see your ritual of I want to eat this more nutrient dense and rich food over time after you've been doing it for a long period of time. I feel like that could become a habit because it's just been so ingrained and has changed your whole lifestyle that you just don't think of it anymore. You would never think of going for McDonald's after you've been eating nutrient rich food for over 6 months. So I guess there's 2 points of it, really. I think it's when you're starting out a change, it needs to be for a ritual. But I do think some rituals can become habits. once that change has been fully embedded and ingrained into your system.
To me, that makes sense. The intention of that ritual is to shift the frequency into a different frequency. Of course, at some point you're going to be embodying that frequency. It's just going to be a natural state of being. Every time I drive, I feel immense gratitude. I feel so much gratitude. I don't even recognize it sometimes. I don't know why. And I remember back, oh yeah, this is something that I did every single day for a year. Now I'm not really have to think about it. I'm just overfilled with gratitude or almost crying. And I'm like, oh, why is this happening? It's, oh, I'm just trained when I'm in the car to be really grateful. And so you're right. It's like embodying a frequency. I think that brings up a really good point. And I think Julie asked a question on this, maybe not yet, but the like what makes a ritual effective? I think we can be doing things that are habits. We can be doing things that are rituals. And Trisha, you brought up a really good point around how people quote unquote fail. Like they're trying to make a change and they fall off. You're so right. That's one of the three key pillars of what makes a ritual impactful is having a really strong why behind it. If your why behind eating healthy food is, oh, it's good for me, right? That might not be the motivator on the days that you really don't want to do it. You're really craving that McDonald's cheeseburger and your mind's already having the dopamine rush thinking about it. That's not going to be enough of a reason to choose no. Why do you want to eat healthy? Really, I want to spend more time with my family, or I want to feel good in my body. I want to be able to do that half marathon that I've been dreaming of. I want to feel proud of myself when I'm in my 60s, whatever it is, like getting that emotion involved with that intention, like getting emotional of why you're actually wanting to create this change. So strong why. Second is presence. I think a lot of times people go through the motions with rituals and they're like, I'm doing it every day, it's happening. What's preventing the energy from shifting into this new frequency is their lack of presence and embodiment of that energy. Just doing the motions isn't enough to create change always. You might make this little change, but it's not going to be the same as if you're fully present with the intention of the why or the frequency that you want to be stepping into. That presence creates so much, just neurologically, there's so much science on this of just like being really present with the thing, how much quicker you are rewiring your brain. So presence. The last one is consistency. Like you can do a ritual once, absolutely. You can do a ritual once, but that's just one time that you're engaging with that frequency. Where if you're consistently doing it every single day, you're helping your energy shift. You're helping your reality shift to this new frequency. The more you're engaging with it, the more you're aligning with it, the more it becomes more natural to be with. It feels, oh, this is my new state of being. This isn't hard anymore. This isn't something I need to think about and try to get into. This is more natural to step into. This feels good. This feels good. It's like that consistency allows the shift to begin to happen. You can do it once. It might have an impact, but think about, I see everything's energy, right? If it's a scale and you are, let's do diet as the change because we're on the topic. We have this idea, we want to eat healthy. We have one meal, one healthy breakfast, and then every other meal is just crap. It's like the scale is, you did that one thing once, but the scale is you spend way more time eating bad food, or even just with our mindset. Okay, you did your gratitude check in the morning. You felt grateful. Cool. You tip the scale to raise your frequency one time. And throughout the day, you're judging people and you're jealous and you're criticizing yourself and you're bummed that you're at your job, and then you're like thinking about coming home, and then the traffic, oh, you hate the traffic, and you're like, everything is just so negative. Look at the scale. You raise your vibration for that 30 seconds when you did gratitude. And then the rest of the day was like, it's like with consistency, you will be in that frequency more often, which will tip the scales. That's what we're looking for. We want to tip the scales so that we are shifting who we're being and how we're being, and the energy that we're embodying, the reality that we're creating. So that's the power of rituals. We're literally changing who we're being. Neurologically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, like that's the intention of it. Those three things make rituals effective. They can be done without those things. They just may not have the same impact.
Do you think, though, that some people don't even know what that frequency is that they want to get into? They have this superficial goal. I want to lose 10 pounds. So it's, oh, I know what I need to do. I know I need to move my body. I need to drink more water and I need to eat healthier food. But if they've never been there, is it important that you really know what kind of energetic frequency that you're stepping into if you don't even know it? How do you move yourself from that one place to the next to really develop those rituals and to actually embody that intention?
That's a really good question. I'm so glad you asked that. That is so good because I think most people don't know the frequency that they want to step into. They have this idea or this pull, but they don't actually know what it's like to be on the other end. That's really normal. I think about when you speak on this, I think about the emotional scale. I think Abraham Hicks channeled this. Other people talk about this, but we may not know what it feels like to be at the top of the, say, enlightened. We don't know what that's, but we like know that if we meditate and do all these things that we're moving in that direction. We don't need to experience what enlightenment is to know that's where we're going. What I see is just by doing the act, okay, I want to lose 10 pounds. That one I would like to break down into a whole nother way. We'll go into that one. That's a whole nother story. Let's say I want to eat, I want to eat healthier. They may not know why. They're like, I want to be healthier. They may not know what it feels like to be in full wellness. I can really relate to that. Like I have celiacs and I didn't know what it felt like to actually feel like I had an idea, but I would never actually embodied that. But I look at it as we're moving up the scale. We're shifting enough to give this little, just a little bit. We may not know what full wellness is experienced as, but by doing these things, we start getting a taste of, oh, by eating healthier, I don't have brain fog anymore. Or, oh, I don't have that headache that I used to have, or I can actually focus at work. It's all these things that they didn't even think about, these benefits start dropping in. These are just elements of wellness, this overall wellness. So I do not think you need to know that ultimate state in order to create a ritual. And I think most people don't. It's a soul pull that moves us into that. We don't want to feel that. No clue what that is. It's fine. Because through that practice and through intention, you're moving your way, you're working your way up the scale to that experience and to that embodiment in reality. But to come back to the example on losing 10 pounds, I would ask someone right off the bat, why do you want to lose 10 pounds? Like my mom, I'm going to use my mom as an example. She is super strong. I used to be a personal trainer and I trained her and she is a crusher, but she didn't care about actually being fit or like looking strong. It was all numbers for her. She didn't care about actually being healthy. She just had this thing around weight. And she's, no, I just want to be, I don't even know what the weight was she wanted. I didn't pay attention. This is important to me. Let me show you science. This isn't important. And she's, I don't care about that. I just want to be 130. And I'm like, why? I'm like, this picture, this person's 170 and they're so strong and look how sexy they look. Isn't that great? They want to be strong. No, I just want my scale to say this number. So if somebody comes to me with that, I break it down of what about this? Are you attaching your identity to your sense of self-worth that you want to create a ritual for this? Because you may not actually be investing the energy in the direction you want. You might think you're investing it towards health or this positive thing, but when you set a goal like that, you're investing in your worth coming from this external thing, this like sense of worth being contingent on this thing. That's the investment, which then disempowers you and then puts your worth outside of you. That other people's perception now is, you know, what makes you worthy. Something else needs to determine that for you. It's really important to know the why behind things, because you may not be investing the energy in the way that you want to be. Like you might not be going in the right direction, like tipping the scale or moving up the scale.
I think what you brought up is directly why people fail as well, because we're going straight into this action that they believe is going to get to their goal or their desire, but really they haven't tapped into the why, they haven't tapped into the feeling. But if they tap into that first, their action to cultivate that may be completely different. So then you're in that aligned action. And when you're in that aligned action, on those days that you're not your best and things are not going the way you'd like it to, and it's hard, you're more likely to show up for yourself because that action is very much aligned with that emotion, with your why, with your passion. And we're just doing that, we're just doing the thing to get that external outcome. Once you have a bad day, let's face it, what's the first thing to go? Oh, I'll skip it today.
Hey guys, I think we should pause right here and divide this into 2 episodes.
Thanks for having me on again. This was really fun.
No, thank you for coming on, and thank you for asking to come on again, actually.
Yes, for sure.
It felt incomplete. The last one was good, but there's more to be said about rituals.
There sure is. So we're going to take a pause and we'll be back next week. Make sure that you tune in and have a great one. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, subscribe, and share with a friend. Want to learn more about a specific topic? Drop us a line on our website and we can explore it deeper with you.